computer. Yeah, finally, this is episode number 48.
Wow.
4 and 8 is a 12. Alisha Braché is in the house. First time on the new Soulology platform. Yeah.
Feels good. Thank you for inviting me and having me here.
Yeah. I was talking about you today on the earlier show with Debbie Dubois.
Yeah.
Who is in the Lisa Harrison camp. She was telling me that Darius, who's going to be on tomorrow night.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. That you, Darius, Lisa, and somebody else put
Athena.
some kind of, oh, Athena. Yeah, I got her name. She said that she just picked up on her. I went to her YouTube. She doesn't have a huge number of followers, but her engagement with the people that are viewing her stuff is really high. And we know that the numbers are upside down. Anyway,
sure are.
Good stuff is obscure. Yeah, so hello everybody, and
everyone,
if you come in the room, please give us a heart. And Alisha, welcome back. I have been catching your stuff. I'm subscribed, so I see when you put new stuff out. I don't get to really look at much, but the energy's there. You did that really interesting series last year. I think there were several episodes. It was really cool. And then and now it sounds like you're cooking up something else. So I'm really excited to see where you're headed with that. But before we go any further, I'd like to know what the hell since March the 1st. This March the 1st, these 3 waves we've had these 3 months. And the interesting thing is it really started to tell the story almost from the beginning. Because March 1st, I woke up and I just said, there's stargates all over the earth. And Morgan was staying on 80 acres somewhere in Queensland. And I told her, I said, you're going to see stargates going to present itself to you. And 2 days later it did. And then she starts getting all these downloads. And then one thing just leads it to another. And then I think it was the 20th show. So it would have been probably, I don't know, it would have been like into the end of the month. And Lisa Harrison comes on. And we start talking. She goes, this started around March 1st. I'm like, oh, man. And then all these other things start clicking. And then all these different, what do you call them? Intuitives, the Alishas, the Morgans, the Lisas, and all their information is kind of converging, which is really interesting. But I know you're always very direct and, open-hearted and you respect your privacy, but you're very open and transparent, in my opinion, with your, with your experiences. And I'm probably talking to the one person in the world who has had a smooth ride for the last 90 days.
Oh yeah.
I'll hand you that hot potato.
I wouldn't even know where to begin, Todd. I think for me, I've been reflecting over this year because it's gone so quickly, but also it feels like a blur. Like so much has been jam-packed into this big squeeze of internal processing and like challenges and initiations. And it feels like, to summarize it all, it feels like the entire journey has been jam-packed into a very condensed experience to like, what's the analogy that was given to me? Like refining keeps coming up, but it's also like, going back and like dotting your I's, crossing your T's. Did you get that lesson? Are you able to sustain that frequency? Like it's just been absolutely mind-blowing. Next level of self-mastery is probably the best way I can describe it, with being polite with my words.
Well, it's definitely gotten me into the habit, or the further habit, because I've tried to be conscious of it over the years. I haven't always followed it, which is I've cleared that. Now, when I go through it, whatever it is, like so many things, like you're talking about, these internal things, these, really deep things, these last 90 days, I go through it and I find that I just don't have a comment anymore. I don't, you know, when the universal reporter comes around and asks me, oh my God, no comment. It's just, I don't know. There's something about knowing things now and not having to say them or portray them that has some kind of wisdom in it. It's like, keep your mouth shut or talk less, say more, something like that.
Yeah, I can relate. It's been I know I've been out there doing a lot of videos and things like that, but besides that, I've been very internal. Like
Yeah.
it's been very self-focused for me, and um yeah, I don't even I don't even have words, but I will tell you this, Todd. For about a week, maybe more, I don't know if it was, I think it was maybe just before you contacted me to come on today's show, I've been hearing your voice in my head. And you just say,
I got to tell you something. I just talked to Morgan. She just woke up a while ago. And we were just talking, and I said, you know, 3 times there was 2 ladies that just came on like in succession, and the same thing happened. They both said, I'm going to go on Todd's show. Boom. I email them. And then Debbie, she was on this morning. What did I say this morning? And she said about 3 weeks ago, she goes, I'm going to be on his show. So I think we were talking about how things, oh, I know what it was. She does these groups, right? And they've been going on for over a year. You know, I go to one every week. And so there's this one girl who's in the group that I go to in America. And in the group, she'll say, okay, you know, the other groups can join us, you know, if they want to come, you know, you guys ever, you know, whatever. So now she's doing a group in UK. And this lady goes, you know, because after they had the group session, they talk a little bit. She goes, I had the strangest thing happen. This woman came and she was like standing outside the circle as we were doing the circle, and I recognized her and I had to go look her up, and it was so-and-so. And that lady from the group that I'm in, a friend of mine, she does that. So people are showing up in, you know what I mean? So many different ways. But yeah, so what happened?
there's been a lot of that seems to be more and more and more. But yeah, I had your voice in my head, and it was one phrase, one line, and all it kept saying, and I was still getting it this morning, is June is going to be lit.
Yet you see, this is and you're on Morgan's birthday and the whole 9 yards. But okay, since the earlier this month, I'll just say, I don't know. I've known this is a big month for me. And I'd say around the 15th, I told Morgan, I feel this something huge is going to happen. So May 30th, 12 years ago on May 30th is when I had my experience, my personal experience, my wake up moment, you know, 1:11 in the morning. And then all these other things have happened on that day. And so there we're having this Pleiadian gateway, we find out, which you probably know about because you're an alien. And Morgan starts channeling in our sessions. It's straight Pleiadian. We're your parents, and and I'm like, my whole body's lighting up, both of us. And I'm like, my God, this feels like home. What's going on? You know, and it's like this coding's coming in. And so, and then I started to tell her around the 20th, I feel there's going to be this big pop, a big pop. And I feel it. And I don't know if but I know I'm feeling it. And so now you say that, and I'll conclude it like this. I said in January to Morgan, the pattern of this year is going to be the same as last year, but we're going to be more balanced.
Yeah.
And I believe we all are. And in my last words, my first words last year about this time was, it's going to be a hot summer. I remember telling her that. I don't have that kind of foresight like y'all do, but every now and then when I get it, it's, you know, if it keeps coming in, I know. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree. I don't know what it is. I think I've been tuning into it from the beginning of the year, and I don't think anyone knows exactly what. I can, you know, I have my suspicions, and you know, I have my potential. It could be this, it could be that, but I mean, you got to let that go, right, and just be in the unfolding. But as I've been kind of taking, you know, looking back and reminiscing over the beginning of the year until now, and I can kind of connect the dots and I look at things like what happened then and how when it drops into manifestation, like when it like sometimes you get the intuitive hit and then it takes X amount of to come into physical realization or experience. And at the end, sort of, yeah, halfway or towards the end of January, I went through such a big experience of getting downloads, information. My energy was like, and you know, when you get really lit and your energy just emanates and everyone around you is like, whoa, what's going on? And you're like, well, my higher self just stepped in and I had one of those experiences that kind of went on for days and days. And what was coming through to me, I mean, I can go deeper into the experience, but it was like, I was bilocating, like I was driving towards the beach I was going to the beach, and all of a sudden I'm driving and I was with my friend and I looked at him and I said, we need to get there really soon. And he's like, is everything okay? And I was like, I'm on a ship right now. I don't know if it's safe for me to be driving. Anyway, we were only like 5 minutes away, but this experience went on for hours and we were walking around the beach and basically the feeling or sense that I got that there was a victory, there was a celebration, everyone was excited for what had come into completion, you know, what we've all been working towards. And I had forgotten about this experience until maybe a few weeks ago, and I caught up with that. Actually, no, what happened was I went out for a morning walk and just mulling through all the challenges that I'd been coming up against, and I'm like, all right, let's focus on something different. And this dropped in. It was like, remember this, remember this experience. And I was like, so I was like thinking about it. And I had this thought come into my mind of, I wonder how long that's going to take to come into fruition, that we're going to experience this celebration or whatever it's going to look like. And straight away I heard like 6 months. And I was like, oh, January, oh, June. Okay, yeah, all right. But the coolest thing was I met up with that friend for coffee that morning and he brought it up. And he was like, remember that experience? Da, 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 da? And I went, yeah. And he said, how long? He literally took it out of my head. He's like, how long do you think that would take to come into like experience reality? And I looked at him, I'm like, you tell me. And he just, without even hesitation, he goes, 6 months. And I went, And so, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it based on linear time, that would put us around solstice, give or take.
Oh man, this is wild. This is wild. I'm trying to remember last year about this time, the mother came in and she was fire. She was fire. And, you know, I think I told you these stories and stuff. By the way, I just got a huge deja vu when you started that story out. And you said you and your friend were driving down the road. I'm like, oh my God, I got it. But it was, you know, just go, just, you know, it's going to be, just go do it, go create from the chaos, you know, that, because that's what it's going to be. And this time, and then, you know, like she left her after it was all over. It was very intense few months. And but she popped in, Father God popped in, which was, I hadn't seen that since I was, you know, 10 years or something. I don't even know. But then she came in and she had this energy, that consciousness, you know, when it hit me, it just had this energy. And it was just like the purest, most loving, but powerful, you know, like profound, like you're going to respect this, to be this, you know, it was just really deep. So I'm excited to hear a story like that because number one, it sounds like, you know, obviously our galactic selves gets the information first. So at least we know it's coming, which takes some of the bite off of it now. But also the weaving, like it's almost like I saw this a couple of 2-3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I don't remember, but it was like me and Morgan and a couple of people, higher selves. It was a lucid dream. and there was about 6 or 8 of us, a lot like one I had one last night, very similar. And we were talking to each other, trying to figure out how to get through to our humans the message that they're all collaborated on through us, right? And how sometimes they would go to one of our collaborators, right? And be in, and be able to get to them, not straight from their higher self, but from the other higher self through the other person. It was crazy. But I think that's what you and your friend experienced. And even like these little stories that seem like coincidences with the emails and, coming on the show.
Yeah.
It's exciting is what I'm saying. To me, it's exciting. It's I have this almost like a bowling ball, energy in my chest, in my heart, and it's not a bad thing, and it's not a implant. It's fucking energy and power. And I think everybody's feeling something like that.
I think so. I also feeling that what we're heading into is very heart-centered for a lot of people. I feel, well, I can speak for myself. I know that I feel like I've been working through energies that have been in the lower energy centers, like, below the heart. And it's been a constant focus of mine to try and bring myself back into heart-centered space, because it feels like it's been dismantling, going through, clearing out a lot of denser energies, heavier energies. But I felt there was probably maybe a week and a half ago, I went, oh, we've stepped it up. There's this rising coming into the heart. And I think that's in preparation for what's to come, of many people being able to operate from that space from a more baseline level or permanent level, so that we can navigate our way and be in the unfolding of it all.
Yeah, what you said. And when you said these experiences where I was having to go back into the heart, that kind of struck a chord in myself and what I've seen. And I guess what I'm saying or asking is, are those moments where you get pissed off and I treat, you know what I mean? Is that what you're talking about? Like when you get uncomfortable and you have to like consciously go back and, okay. I know it's me. I know it's me.
Yeah. I think the level of discomfort has been off the charts for me in every possible way.
Really?
And so having those moments of, for me, it's been a lot of mental energy. And I think that's because it's a number of reasons, but I think the veil is so thin now that if you're sensitive or you have those abilities that you kind of tune in, and what we were talking about before is like I had you in my head, but sometimes there's a lot of people in my head. So it's also
I see dead people.
tuning that out, because it's a lot of static noise. And I find that having to constantly focus of bringing it back into my own energy, back into my own heart space, has been key to navigate through and not get into stories or tangents or, going into unnecessary pockets of energy, I guess.
Those are those goodbyes, those final goodbyes. As much as we hated them, we loved it. Drama. Yeah. Well, and I've kind of seen this in Morgan, and some other women are, I would say like the feminine. Okay. I mean, I've been feeling a lot of masculine stuff the last 90 days, especially March and April. I mean, it was like in my body, things happening. It was cool. But like, especially like the ones like y'all, because very, very sensitive, getting more and more stuff, and it's like the power of it. And she says the same thing you do. You get it, and then it takes a few days before you can figure out what, but almost like a direct relationship. The more that comes in, the more power that feminine is exhibiting. and not in a way I've seen before. It's like coming from the inside, and it's got no bones with no body. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, you know what? All this stuff I've been getting is real. And now's the time, you know what I mean? It's like almost like a natural progression. So it's like almost like pushing out the shadows, or coming in as the shadows are pushed out. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I was, yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the energy that I have been experiencing working through has been highly masculine in its nature. And I believe that this is happening for very good reason. I was given kind of a timeline, not just for myself, but I also see it through like client sessions and just conversations with people of there's a lot of people being prepared to be able to hold as a permanent baseline their highest or most natural frequency that we have experienced along the way, and we've had moments of having it for like weeks, days, months, but then we dip, and I feel like we're being emptied out to the deepest core level so that we can embody that, and that's going to support obviously the planetary shift and the shift in consciousness on the planet. But where I feel like there's this wrap up phase coming into a completion where, well, I can say for myself, everything that we've been through from the wake up alarm clock, you were saying that yours was the end of May, like you're coming up to that anniversary. It feels like that portion of the journey is coming into conclusion. So so like you were saying, pushing out the shadow, all the energy echoes keeps coming to me. This term energy echoes, it's clearing that out so that we can hold our frequency, our sovereignty, our most inner knowing and resonance to move into it at a very different space.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's almost like moving out what became second nature to the human field to what's natural.
Yeah.
You said a lot there. And the thing the thing is too, as this 90 days has gone on, a lot of people's intel pointed towards right now. Like even whoever was on yesterday, somebody was on yesterday talking about it. It's pretty high frequency. Anyway, a number of people. And then June, because these last 3 months have been very, very clear from the first day. This is a whole different thing. This is a whole nother level. You know what I mean? So June 1, and then with the solstice coming up, and I know Morgan's talking about the solstice, and I've heard other people talking about it. And then on to the one in September. But right now, we don't want to look that far.
No.
But it just feels like with the way the heart, let's just say the heart the heart consciousness is taking such a bigger and bigger space, like in our thoughts, words, and actions. And then there's this collective thing happening where there's these weavings you can see taking place, like you and your friend. And then of course the psychic stuff is expanding. And you gotta, it's almost like, I don't know, I feel like I'm going into I don't know, almost like two streams. Like one is this huge distortion of just almost ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And this other one of this group of people that's all having the same thing go down, and it's all kind of coming together. Just a weird thing. I wonder if we're just gonna like watch the other one split off or something.
I've had a similar analogy given to me, and that's what I've been kind of focusing on a lot over the past few weeks. Was like you were talking about the streams, I was seeing it as like a sphere, like the grid system. I know you and Morgan talk about that a lot, but the like the new Earth grid and then the old Matrix dying simulation distortion, and seeing them as spheres, and that we all have access to which one we want to focus and tune into.
Mm.
But I know that, you know, yes, it's a conscious choice in every moment to tune in, but I think not to judge ourselves if we're feeling or experiencing the other, because that our light in that particular pocket of reality helps to disseminate it. But the oscillation is huge, you know, and I've noticed that, like, I'm starting to have more days of flow and feeling my vibrant self, which I can honestly say I haven't really felt since the beginning of the year.
Mm.
At least not more than a few hours here and there, or a day here and there. But I feel like for myself, I'm coming a little bit back more online. And the guidance is, you know, allow yourself to tune in to that beautiful golden web of light and that new reality that's emerging. You choose, you know, and just almost observe where your energy is placed in every moment. Because I know I had days like a few weeks ago, it was on a Sunday. Oh, it was Mother's Day here. So I think, yeah, a fortnight ago. And the grief was, I've never witnessed grief like that. Like, the feeling, I felt dead inside, and it was just this overwhelming sense of grief. And I sat with it all day, and I couldn't put my finger on what is it that I'm grieving. What is this? And I spent the afternoon like walking around my old neighborhood, my old school, and it was just so foreign to me. And I all of a sudden I got this, you're grieving the death of the old world. Like, that's the energy that you're in right now.
That's verbatim what your sister said. Yeah, and it was the same time. I don't know if I have the dates exactly right, but I just know it was in that time period, like from 5/5 to Mother's Day. What day was Mother's Day? It would have been like the 13th or 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right around there. The 11th was a big boom. The 8th, I remember. But yeah, and even a couple other people were bringing, or I think people were writing about that grief, but the way you described it, that's exactly what she said. I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, the day before that, I was, okay, it's all coming back to me now. The day before that happened, I haven't thought about it like that. Isn't it interesting? It was a Saturday afternoon. I was on the phone to a friend, and all of a sudden I started to have this experience, you know, where you can't talk and like you feel like your mouth's moving weird and everything just feels quite bizarre. And I just said to my friend, I have to go and lie down right now. I don't know what's happening, but I could feel the energy coming in. It was impacting me kind of neurologically. And I laid down and I felt the strongest energy just boom through me. And I heard this message, this voice so clearly. And it said to me, you have to exit the matrix now. Quick, go push the button. And the image that I was shown was, like I described before, the very dense old black grid, and then the gold one. And it was like I had to go in and like press this button to like exit out of that old paradigm. And then I just got knocked out for hours. And then I woke up, and I woke up to a message that said to me, very, very, it was specific, it was personal, but I'll share it because it may resonate for other people. It said, you're traversing through old timeline energy, which is similar to 2016-17, which was my deep dive and trying to work stuff out. And I was told, you know, in certain circumstances, you know how to pull yourself out of this. You've done it before. Do it again. Get to work.
Wow.
And from that moment on, that was when I was like, all right, I have to go and do more interviews. You know, the work stuff really started to come into focus. It was like, don't stop floundering in these uncomfortable energies.
Yeah.
Go and do what you're here to do.
Yeah. When did that happen? March?
That would have been the 13th. So I had that experience, and then I had the grief the next day of grieving the old world. And I hadn't put two and two together that I was told to eject myself from, you know, the old reality. And then I went through a grieving process directly after the next day.
Yeah, and then the thing about getting busy, because there's all these old voices dying, like, you know, do this or do that, or you need to work more, or you need to go do, you know, because this whole other thing has come in this year, which is the solitude and the strength of the, you know, that time, the integrating time. But yeah, mine came probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago in the same way. And you know, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it was like the realization that it's not going to stop. So you can either try to get some stuff done as much as you can, and or not. And I thought, no, it's just makes sense just to, you know, even if it's not a huge output, because we've done 48 shows in 60 days. So that's not a lot for us.
Still a huge amount.
Yeah, that's not a lot for that's like 24 a month. I mean, so that's not, yeah, but they've been extremely different. The quality's different. The substance and the content's different. The heart is different. People were saying it from the very first show. You know, it feels different in here. You know, like in the middle of the show, it's like, hey, it feels different in here, you know? So I think there's something to be said for that. I know several people that around the same time in March started or left, you know, or began the exodus from social media, creating their own containers. I mean, some people have been doing it for a while and been talking about it for a while. I know Ty talks about it with stuff he's been working on. Morgan started her groups a little over a year ago with that same thing, you know, building a space where we can all come together, which is what we're all doing, like with your work, and then these integrations and convergences that are happening. Yeah, but
Yeah.
well, oh yeah, what I was going to say is that I don't know, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get any better, or you're going to feel any better or any worse, but you can still get something done, I guess is what I'm saying. And it's actually therapeutic.
I was about to say, I always feel better when I'm doing what I'm here to do, whether that's doing a show, talking to you, working with my clients, whether it's just connecting with someone who resonates on the same, like that fills my soul. And I guess the get to work was like, have more moments of that, because that's going to sustain you. That's going to make you feel more in resonance and alignment. And you know, I love what I do. I love the fact that I did this video last week about people who it was the theme around entities and attachments and energies like that, and I felt the need to kind of raise awareness around that for some people. And I was talking to a lady who was a psychiatric nurse for 30 years and very fascinating woman, and I had Dale on with me. And it was just we just did that video. It was very divinely guided, and just the feedback that I've gotten, you know, since that's come out, about how, you know, people have just said to me, I was in the lowest point I've ever been, and just watching that show 3 times pulled me out of the funk. You know, that to me uplifts my soul, you know, because I know what it's like to be on the flip side and being in a funk and watching your show, and then it pulls me out, you know, do you know what I mean? So it's like this ripple effect that we're helping support each other.
Yeah.
So have you had any kind of intel or experiences that indicate that, or do you feel like you're going through energies or experiences that were similar to what you went through in the beginning, but trying to like complete or wrap up that phase? Is that something that's, I don't know if I explained that
Yes,
properly,
you did.
but
Yeah. Well, well, okay. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, you know, it's kind of started with about this time last year. And, you know, I, you know, left our home spent some time in Sedona. Okay, bottom line is I get a free ride. You know, of course, you know the Soul GFS story. I got a free ride from there to Houston, which is where it started. You know, I was on the streets here for 2 years, and that's how the whole thing started.
Oh,
And I'm in my daughter's apartment since a couple of months at the end of the year, and then since December 29th. Okay, so I've been here all year. I had to come here to clear up things that occurred then.
mm,
And so I'm in my daughter's apartment in the old suburb next to downtown, very urban, very eclectic. And my grandmother's house since 1970 is 1 block over 2 houses. And so they're all 12s or 3s or 6s. And I'm, you know, walking the same streets, and things are coming full circle with kids and with parents and the law and, you know, trauma and the whole 9 yards. And you know something, there's a reason you're here and all that. So then the March comes around and it really starts to impact me. And I'm trying to pay attention. So I'm basically going out a lot and just connecting with the land and the trees. Like I walk at least once a day for a good hour, sometimes twice a day. And I pull myself together, then you could say, I pull everything in. And so that's exactly what I'm feeling. So I get into this month and it starts to really come in, which is May the 30th at 1:11 in the morning. You know, Jesus came in the trees, and that's how this whole thing started 12 years ago. And then, you know, the next date, and then the next date, and then there's all this movement with Morgan and I between April and, you know, like September. You know, there's just all these things they're showing me. But to conclude it, it's kind of like the thing with the mother. She came in like fire, full of love, and she came in this time, that other part that, you know, I can't describe. This time more balance. And then it basically was pointed out to me, you know, the 10-year period from 2012, December 21 to the same date, 2022 was that period. I think that's the period that Lisa Harrison talks about that she received, where we had an extension, right?
yeah.
I think what I was told, or what I understand, is that this is the first time through the cycle in the new energy.
Yeah.
And we still have that, whatever you called it, that echo.
Yeah.
We
The
still
echo.
had that, like, you know, the second nature to the human going, and it's
Yeah.
dropping very quickly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that we're going to find that out this summer. I feel like we're going to be so powerful, no matter what's going on, we'll basically laugh at it, because our energy has no fear, and because we're multiplying through collaboration in very natural, organic ways. Oh my God.
You just
Go ahead. I was just looking.
explained that so well, Todd. So well. And I can,
Well, I was just going to read this real quick. You can't see the comment yet. Well, we're going to have that one day. Sarah Lawton, Sarah, she's here, number one, every time. So she said, that's what I said on the last show, Todd. Jupiter is in the same place. Jupiter's my planet, is in the same place that it was in 2011. This is when it happened, 12-year cycle.
correct.
Higher turn of the spiral. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Because I know in my personal life, the reason I asked you that, in my personal life, I am revisiting very similar experiences that I did many, many years ago when this all began. And it feels like a closing out. Like I'm now living with the same person that I was living with 2016. And we never thought that we would come together and live together ever again.
I just snapped to what you said. I was going to say, did any of the old players come back?
Yeah. Yep. And it was like quite incredible, because the first time we lived, funnily enough, she's 10th of March too.
Oh my God. You and Morgan and her need to form a holy triad, man. 310, 310. Add up the years are probably going to come out like 369.
You're right.
Oh,
And
that's
the way
beautiful.
that we came together back then was just like the universe orchestrated it. We had no plans to live, it just happened. And we lived
Mm.
together for the entire year. And the universe did it again. And, we're, it's almost laughable because we're like, oh, we're like back into, different house, but same suburb, uh, same location.
Oh man, this is great. This is great.
And we're very aware that we're in this kind of cleaning out, phasing out. And like you said, like those echoes, it's like we've jumped into a new space, but we haven't fully anchored it yet because we're still having that human default that we need to flush out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes back to like tuning into where we're phasing into and anchoring that completely. I believe.
Yeah.
It's
Triggers are becoming we're having a different view, or there's a different definition, or there's a different, it's lightening up. We're realizing it's not you, it's not me, it's just part of that echo. But I will say that, I keep saying I can't remember anything in January or February. I just remember it was like coming out of a battle, and you're in a new earth, and you're just kind of stumbling. I wasn't really, even probably, I'm sure I was present, but I was in like a cloud. But I will say this, because you triggered me in a good way, to remember the depth of the shadow, I guess you would say, but in a different way that I went to in January and February, on a very personal level, very much the masculine, kind of exemplified or symbolized by my life in this incarnation. And then it became a collective thing. And there was just this huge kind of personal deep dive thing that was going on. And it wasn't like consuming me, but now that I'm sitting here talking to you, I realize that was kind of like the carving out, getting the grit out and getting ready for the final spin cycle, or whatever you want to call it, in March, April, and May.
Yeah. I think my deep dive started probably just interesting. I always look at bookends, beginning and ends of, many, many cycles. My deep dive began, and the battle energy and the, almost straight after I spoke to you last time. And now I feel like I'm coming out the other side of it. So the timing of it is just
Well, I think
incredible.
we have to give recognition to acknowledge this stuff. This is the cookie crumb trail. We've been, even with our collaborations, all of us, and our relations, you can't tell me, nobody here in this room can tell me that in the last 90 days, you haven't said at least 3 times, get me the F out of here. Or several other common light worker, tired, comments, but I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, but I'm excited now. It seems like every day, especially now that the shows are increasing a little bit, and there's a little bit of consistency, and the whole, because it was a good stress, bad stress kind of scenario coming into this thing, because we were told within 10 days it just happened. You know what I mean? It's time to go. All the signs are there. Boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
Get out, create the, and so, that took like, okay, and that's coming off of January and February. So I really feel like things are, this pop, I the way I feel about it is nothing to be afraid of. There might be a rip the Band-Aid off kind of thing. I don't know, but to me, it's almost like, and I don't want to say this is exactly what it means to me, because I can't really explain the feeling, but it feels like whatever circumstances are needed to get us to go deeper within ourselves and find our power, not out of survival, but out of soul. Let it come, whatever that may be, whatever human perception horror that may be, or whatever is solar energetic jolt that may be, or whatever trigger that may be. Let's rip it off, that level of, that's how I feel about it personally. And I feel like it's not just me.
Yeah. I think the phrase that comes to mind is like, let's close it out, whatever it takes, let's just close it out and step up the game.
So you got to reconciliation, rest. Like that was coming to me the other day. It was like reconciliation and restoration and renovation and, redefinition and reinvention. Like, and I think another thing that for me, I've realized, and I think your story speaks to it. That's beautiful. I'm very happy for you, both of you. Is the hell, I forgot now. I got caught up in that vision, but it was a positive thing. It was a positive thing. Oh, I know what it was. That for a long time we were throwing pieces out. We called it putting up boundaries, which were necessary. But at some point you realize nothing's getting put out. And the best thing that you have to work with is what's right in front of you, starting with yourself. So you start to look at your antagonists differently. I'm going to go see my mother very soon. And I have not seen her since May the 31st. There's another one, right? And she lives right around the corner, right? So May 31st, 2017. So 6 years.
Wow.
And so what I'm saying is it's all energy, and the pieces that we associated as perpetrators and all these different things, they're just pieces like us, right? And there's actually a lot of power in bringing a reunification or reconciliation, or it's a new you, it's a new partner. You're not the same as you were then, right? I mean, so yeah, I don't think people are going to accumulate more shadow. I think everybody, regardless of what choices they're making, if they're even going to survive, because that's another question in terms of the, transition. I think it's just constantly going to get more glittery gold. And we're going to see it more and more and more. Oh, so there is no such thing as being suspicious. There is no such, any of these fear-based things, envy, all that stuff goes away. Our thoughts of people thinking that way go away, because everybody that figures, oh, we're all the same.
Yeah.
But
I like how you said that. And the glittery gold, the gold energy has been prevalent for a long time now. But I was having these images last night about like the rollout, and I was seeing just how you describe people being in that gold energy and just going down that pathway, and everything just becoming more and more vibrant, less, the shadows drifting away, the projections, all the, the blame game, whatever is just dropping.
Yes. Yeah. It still stings a little bit when I do it. I'm like, damn, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Because it really doesn't matter what's presented to you. That's really not the point. The point is what you do, right? And we're to have enough awareness now, and it's a natural evolution too. I mean, but you're right. It's all dropping. Blame, shame, guilt, all that BS. People were talking about apathy this month. Feeling apathetic, and what's the point? I've been there just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Oh my. I'm thinking, man, I'm getting off social media. I'll talk to Morgan on WhatsApp. I'm going to go to the beach and be a bum.
Yeah.
Like they do in Hawaii, man. You can live on the beach. It's beautiful weather, plenty of fruit walking right down the street, coconuts. Learn how to spearfish.
Yeah. Wow.
Have you, I know you've had, God, I can never think about you without thinking about the story that you shared
Hmm.
a couple of years ago. That was just amazing. One of the, to me, full of coding, because it carries all the different elements, and you kind of carried that too. But like, have you, in 2023, have you had what we might call visitation episodes like you've had in the past? You have, okay.
Yeah, a lot. But that was more in the beginning of the year. It's died down in the last few months, and it's become, working through the shadow and the human aspect. I still do have them from time to time, but a lot happened in the beginning, and I was shown that I was moving into, like, as we're all moving into this new energy space that we've never encountered before, my process has entered into a new space around that time as well. So it's new terrain, it's new territory. I do have deeply personal experiences, I would say a handful of times a month, to give me insight into where I'm at with it and what's occurring. And it's nice because I journey with some women who are going through very similar, and we can, like, we share. I run a support group around women who are going through similar experiences once a month. So when we share, we kind of correlate very similar experiences and data to get a better understanding that it's what I'm going through is similar to what they're experiencing. But I don't know what else I can share about that.
Oh, that's, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, that's a very personal, private thing. And what, I think as I'm listening to you, in general, I think what's so impactful about it, well, it's a lot like, it's like Morgan's groups. So people coming together, look, no one's showing up at your group that's just there to be cool. You know what I mean? Everyone's there, really, everyone's there, like a topically speaking, it's about this, but it's really what? It's about oneness. It's about, I'm not crazy. It's about, I'm like you. There. But what I find, powerful about it is those types of connections, these groups, or, like a circle, where that level of communication is being utilized and therefore re-anchored and reignited onto the grid, they're going to be seen for what they are. They're going to be seen for the truth, right? I mean, the truth frequency is going to show itself and can in so many ways. And also, I believe, and I've been saying this for a while now because I'm smart, because it's up there, and this is something I happen to pick up, which is people like you. These people are going to be seen in a totally different way. And the vast majority of these people are women, because that's what's been dormant and stored in their body. Because if you go back 300 years ago, 500 years ago, 600 years ago, we were in groups all over the world. They were trying to kill us one by one. But I mean, there was, cooking with, medicinal, holistic medicinal, there was ceremony, there was ritual, there was, incantation, there was all kinds of stuff that was real and pure.
Yeah.
Go back to
I get into moments when I'm having a beautiful heart expanding moment and feel into the new earth, and I know that there's a time and place that comes that for women like me going through this experience, how it becomes so normalized and understood for what it is, and the fact that it has existed for eons, and this is a new way of birthing, a new way of co-creating and bringing through new life. And then obviously the contrast to that is being the crazy one in the world that doesn't understand. But I can feel into a very different future and a very different experience for what it has been for me up until this point. And I am incredibly grateful and almost overwhelmed with joy that that time is nearing upon us, you know. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to wiggle a date out of you. No, you're right. You're right though. And I guess that's what I was really saying is that there's going to be certain, we'll use this, certain threads, aspects of our existence that have been hidden and suppressed that we're only just opening the crack in the door, right? Because there's a whole other thing behind it, which is our multidimensionality. So I think storylines, it's reality, storylines that have the level of physicality, you know, that, let's say, a group of these women bring to the table, it's going to have so much code for people in terms of being able, it's going to be like reading a book and expanding your universe or expanding your horizons. They're going to go, oh, well, not only does this happen, that's just the surface. This has a whole thing behind it, you know, different dimensions or different lineages and, you know, a whole, right? I mean, they're going to be able to connect a lot of dots with, you know, when they hear something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that going around. Because over here,
Sure
there's
is.
an elemental network, and over here, there's the, you know, like say the dolphin and whale network. You know, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a finale. Yeah.
It feels like that. And one thing that I thought about recently is like the acceleration always hits when we get to the midpoint of the year, and then it's like everything happens. Like it's a totally, that's a pattern I've noticed. It's a totally different pattern of what we experience in the second half of the year as to what we do in the first half. And the first half, I feel, is always a preparation for what's in the pipeline, right?
You think they would give it till the end of June, but you're saying that, I just keep getting this picture in my head. It must be my higher self. Like, you know, in American football, when they're going to kick off and they go put the ball up on the tee and then the guy backs up, like the first 6 months through the end of May is going to be setting it up, and June 1st is going to be him kicking it right in the ass. You got to laugh a little bit. It feels good to laugh. I haven't been laughing a whole lot, which is not normal for me.
It's so important to bring in the humor.
If you can.
That's the message I keep getting is like, it's been serious, it's been heavy, it's been stressful. Find the pockets and moments just to play and be in joy and bliss, and just like allow yourself to like drop into that heart, emanate it, create a bubble around you, and just relish in that for a little bit to restore, like you were saying, restore, rejuvenate, and you know, because it's everyone on this planet that's working towards this. Feels like we're working on overtime at the moment.
Well, you know, you were talking about that group that support group, and I could feel your you know, your energy, your heart, right? And in like this reverence, right? This deep thing. It's beyond reverence to me. And you know, and then talking about not laughing enough. There's just been a lot of moments that have been deeply profound, and you know, tears would just come down, like they're just, I think Judith Kuzel calls them purity tears, and it's not something you can fake. And so when that happens, that's a huge balancer or ground or something. It's not like something I can seek. It just pops in, because it's like, whoa, this is a lot of code, and you know, and you're on your back, or this has happened, that happened, you get triggered, you go through the whatever the case is. But then you get hit with this thing, you're like, oh my God, this is on. This stuff is happening. So, you know, even like talking or hearing about that reignites that in me. And I think these types of energies, we're going to see more and more coding exchange that way, and seeing the effect of the energy on each other. Yeah, that thing I was telling you about, Morgan's story, where the one sister showed up in the other circle on the different night, right? And the other lady saw her, and that, you know, saw her there. I was telling her, and then the next thing that's going to happen, it's just all going to be when we're around each other, either virtually or physically.
Yeah.
You know, there won't be as many words, but there'll be infinite words, infinite things. Yeah.
Through the energy exchange. Yeah. There's been a lot of those bizarre. Can I share a funny story with you, Todd, of just how this interconnect? I'm going through another phase, and I went through this in the very, very beginning. So when I'm talking about this wrap up, I'm experiencing so many things that I did in the beginning, and it's coming back around. And I would dream about people who I'd never, ever known, seen before in my life. And I would have a dream about them, and I'd wake up and I would remember their faces. And in the dream, it was like, you know, the first one, I was on an island bar, and that one guy was the bartender, one was buying me a drink. And that was all it was to the dream. And I wake up the next morning, and the plumber comes around to fix my hot water, and he was the bartender from my dream. And I just went, oh my goodness. And then like an hour later, I go to the coffee shop, and the guy who bought me a drink at the bar in my dream is sitting in the coffee shop. I've never seen him before. I walk in, he looks at me and he waves, and I'm like, and I've just started having that again. Like 2 nights ago, I had this dream about this guy who came to visit me, never seen him before in my life. And I'm at the laundromat yesterday, and he walks past the window. Like, and I think what I'm getting at is, I mean, these experiences amuse me no end, but it's the merging of realities that is happening at a profound rate, like the merging of dream space. And
when did that first one happen? Was that recent too?
No, the first one was the end of 2015.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that resonates. And I think there's certain I call them hypersensitives, but they're, you know, usually born on March the 10th.
Yeah.
And her date's similar to that. That like the challenge of their level of reception to balance in this distortion was a challenge. And that's what I was referring to earlier, because I think it's actually speaking to something in all of us, but you see it first and say, you know, people like you is part of that powering up, because that energy, however it looks in the literal, is coming through and being anchored in bodies, and then being transmitted through, like me sitting with you, right? And I'm picking it up, right? Or whatever. That reality of our nature in the flesh, you know, I mean, this buildup is not like, to me, it's a buildup, it's not going to be like, you know, we walk onto a beach, right? Like the days of saying in the light worker circles, hey man, I'm good, all you gotta do is this. I'm good, you know. No, I think we're going to be shot out to go make it happen, you know, go make it happen, but not with the same atmosphere that we had before. And the challenge will be, can we turn off the old thing and just stay with the new thing, regardless of what it brings?
Yeah. I think that last part that you said about switching off, and, you know, I've been calling it, or my higher self has been calling it, you're currently in self-mastery boot camp. To ensure that you're, you know, not taking any of that baggage behind, like leaving it. Because I truly feel that this space that's opening up, that we're being invited to walk into, is new levels of sensitivity. It is new abilities. Well, when I say new abilities, no, it's not. I'm going to correct myself there. It's tapping into what we naturally should have the access to, that we haven't had before. So it's not new. It's just uncovering, remembering, and actualizing our abilities, and it's through accessing them and that frequency within ourselves, we're entering into the building phase of this new earth in very physical, tangible, practical ways, just like you've created this new platform, Todd. Like that's creator mode for new earth.
Yeah. I do think that in some form or fashion, our creations are going to go with us. And so it's like, I don't know why this analogy is coming up in my, when I was in college for a short period of time, I entered a pie eating contest, and I won, but they gave it to the guy next to me who didn't finish his pie because I was trying to clean the plate so perfectly.
Yeah.
That's not what they wanted, right? And so it's kind of the same thing. I guess that's why it popped in. Like these creations, it's not just us creating it; they're creating themselves. Only collaboration will hold. Only collaboration will hold. So it's like I'm not trying to like clean it.
Gotcha.
Shine it. I'm not trying to spot shine it because it's almost like I don't know what, a flower that blooms and you can't touch it because it will hurt it, like it's delicate, or I don't know. It's not delicate because it's super powerful, but like don't touch it, don't fuck up the feng shui kind of thing, like Mick Rogers says. I don't know how we got on that. Yeah, June. Yeah. Well, the solstice, June 21.
Yeah.
June 21.
You mentioned in the beginning that you feel like that we're leading into some sort of big type of event. Have you got any thoughts on what that could entail or feelings around it?
Oh, well, yeah, the feeling's what I said earlier, that I feel this pop, and this pops. I'm only going to be able to, I have to give it my full attention. Like that's just what we do now, all of us. So I can't really worry about it happening for everybody. I feel like it's happening to, at a minimum, people that would relate to this conversation or that hang out these, whatever that number is, right?
Yeah.
But what I feel is what I said earlier. It's not going to be a place for judgment. It's not going to be a place for anything but what you get is what you get. What you give is what you get. It's all a win-win-win. I mean, there is no referee. It just takes care of itself. It's a very fast-moving thing, but we're going to be going through that road splitting or whatever that looks like, and it's going to come down to us overriding the echoes. Because we're not going to be able to substantiate them, the rationale out the door. It doesn't matter. Either it's oneness or it's not. And if it's not oneness in your wholest being in that moment, then you're going to know. because the voices, I was going to say doors and choices, and then it came out choices. But yeah, but the choices will close until there's nothing left but you. And so you ask about are you seeing the same rhythms 12 years later? I made it wasn't 12 years though, but it was May. It was May of 2014, 15. Or right after, I don't know. It was in 2015. And I made a street video, like a spirit walk. And I talked about it, everything will be taken away from you. Every single thing, if necessary, for you to find your soul. It was called, How Do You Find Your Faith? How do you find your soul? Remove everything, every belief, blah, 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 blah. And so what I'm saying is that pop to me, it doesn't represent like, holy shit, I better be ready for whatever. I'm ready right now to be homeless and walk the streets. That's how serious I see this being. I don't care. It's a day by day thing. And I know I have control over what occurs, but it's not going to be my fear or my security or my root chakra not being allowed to expand to dictate my choice. But bottom line is that that pop to me represents whatever band-aids need to be ripped off, you rip them off and you face them with the brutal honesty of the soul, and you internalize everything. And I think the last thing I would say, and thank you for the good triggers, create by yourself, create and collaborate, do the best you can, put your best foot forward, you know, and haters don't exist in this universe. We're all beloveds, you know, so somebody's got to carry the banner. And if I fall, then you come, and if you fall, then somebody else comes, and you know, eventually we'll be healthy enough to just finally go, hey, there's nothing wrong here. Everything's cool. It's just shock. I think there's some decompression going on and some shock. We might call it PTSD or whatever, but I think there's some shock that's still working itself out of us.
I agree, and I feel that deeply as you've shared that. I feel that very, very deeply, and I understand in my own way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I look at, and I'm not just saying this to say this. The masculine feminine thing is what it is. And no one's got the interpretation down right. Nobody, because it's above our heads. Because we're too conditioned by the terms and differentiation of those two okay. But the bottom line is we're coming into a space where we've created it, and now we can live by it. We shake this stuff off kind of thing. And it is a balance, feminine and masculine, in that third energy. But what I was going to say is that there are people like yourself, like my wife. There are many people that come on this show, okay, that look, I had a grind in the human sense, right? But to have that level of information, the specificity that some of these people have, and then have to try to live a life and have to deal with the mental and the ego and that this is where I see kind of like the secret weapon, because these are the ones that are rising, and it's all the ones that we never see on camera. It's so many more than you know what I mean. And to me, that's a powerful thing, because they're energetically, you could say in so many words, making up their mind. And that's you can call it the mother's energy, you can call it whatever you want. Whatever it is, it's been put down and it's come back now. You know, so yeah, that's like talking to you is like an activation, you know. Well, I mean, these conversations have been like that, and you lose yourself in them, and it's like we're in both places, or it's all becoming one place now. Like even when I listen to you telling the stories, and you know, I can, I think you said it earlier, it was this is my higher self telling me this, or as you were hearing it, yeah, in the car or something, you better go home and lay down. We are that voice. We're that voice. And you know, hey, if we're gonna you know, be in front of each other, not be embarrassed, and do light language, can't we be in front of each other and just kind of say, hey, you know, I am my higher self. All right. My human might pop in a minute, but hey, my heart's fluttering, and let's have a conversation. Let's bring on all this multidimensionality and have experiences that are common for you and those like you, for everyone to see that. Yeah. Have you written a book about that subject, that support group you have for?
That's funny that you bring that up. Yeah, that's I have started. There is a book that I've been collecting information for years and kind of been putting things down here and there, and I was sort of guided to start to put it all together and then see what other information wants to come through. So it will be a collaboration book. I don't know when it'll be finished or published or whatever, but
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
That'll
it's
be
like it's kind of an overview of individual stories, but also my understanding of the process from all the different lenses.
really. Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
That will be my gift to the world one day. I don't know when.
And then there's a part of me that picks up, you have all those different streams. You never know how it works, but that it's like, because this will go back to 12 years. Like, it was a very personal thing, but at the same time, I was getting collective information, and it was like, you guys are writing the new good book. You guys are leaving behind everything for the next civilization, right? Kind of thing. And then like, as we came out of last year, even before the end of last year, I started realizing all these things we're trying to create, we already did. We're trying to do what we've already done, if you look at it. And now, as we get into 2023, you can really see that, which makes the things that you do that might even look the same or have the same name has a different location or a different energy altogether. So are you getting into something different in terms of what you're putting out?
Yeah, I believe so.
Cool.
I don't exactly, I'm experimenting something new over today and tomorrow, and I was given the download. It's only a variation of what I've already done, but I can see how things are shifting in in everything that I've done. It's like next adaptation, almost like it's refining. And then I think it's going to evolve into something entirely new. But yeah, I'm in the infancy stages of it, so I'm still understanding and learning. But there's been a whole heap of new stuff that's started to stream through recently, I would say in the last fortnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a year. And what did you say?
And I think that's based off what you were saying before. It's all about the creation, and that's always been something that's strongly been a guidance for me, is when you're in creation energy while you're creating, however that looks, you're emanating a frequency and a code into the world, and that's the most important thing we could be doing.
Yeah,
whether it's for yourself or for
yeah.
others, it doesn't matter. It's in that creation energy. That's the most important place that we can operate from.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a very great point. Past, present, future all merge every time you have a good revelation. And that's one thing. If I look, because we've looked at ourselves and we've judged ourselves. Who do you think you are? Da, 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 da. But if I look at my work, which is, our work in many different ways, you say Morgan and I's work, you could say other collaborations. Yeah, what you said, regardless of what level of shadow you're at, it doesn't matter. It's the intention from the heart. And that was something that we struggled with because of many reasons, being ridiculed, embarrassed, and all these different things. But now this collective energy supports us, because that's why we're basically merging with it. It's that type of frequency that allows our heart to expand more powerfully than anything we could imagine, without any fight or force and all that. But yeah, that's I think very important, because you can create in any conditions. And when you're in the kind of conditions that were presented in our dark nights and the last part of 2022, it doesn't matter if it's circumstantial or consequential. There is none. Because the circumstance and the consequence have to do with judgment in the past. right? It doesn't exist now. It's where we at. And so that really clears a lot of stuff for us. A lot of threads you can dust off that way. And when, let's just face it, when shit gets real, what do? You can't tell me that we don't kick ass and take names when our back's to the wall.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
how do you
Yeah.
get up off the ground in this dark night of the soul? By facing your shit and realizing nobody's going to come in and grab you. And you just start taking one step at a time. That's all you can do. But these steps we're taking now, these are giant fuckers. Right. We used to take a step and like walk 2 feet. Now we take a step and it's like 2 blocks. What a wild trip. It's really good to see you. Thank you so much. I love doing collaborations with you. Anytime, I'm always open.
Yeah,
if you ever want to, you know, my involvement in any way, and I'm not attached, but I love the stuff that you do. And I'm sure we're going to connect and reconnect, but it's really good to see you. And I'm really happy for you, both of you. I'm really happy for both of you. And I just got to remember to save my money, because when March 10th comes, I have to buy 3 birthday presents now.
Yeah, you're on my list of people to collaborate with soon, so I will be in touch for sure.
Hey, listen, so every guest we give a full-length editable copy, MP4, to share and utilize as you wish. Okay. So I'm just letting you know that. I'll email that to you shortly. And I love you, and I'll see you later.
Thank you,
blessings.
Todd. Much love. All right.
We'll be back in 37 minutes with Stephen Kerr. Bye-bye.